I'm tattooing one of my homies. He's getting his dick sucked.
She comes in, runs to me and spits in my face. And then they're like, I have it.
No.
I wasn't sleeping. I was just doing blow all day.
Yeah.
Then I went down this like crazy, weird route of tattooing. I ended up in Amish country, punched myself in the face as hard as I could in front of a UFC fighter. If I didn't hit myself hard enough, that UFC fighter got to punch me in the face.
My wife wasn't born. Everybody's been telling me, what are you gonna do when your kids find out? You have the 12-year-old. Your girl does OnlyFans. They all have phones, so he knows.
Get close as I could to a first aid tent, because I thought I was going to croak.
It's a fucking teddy bear and a fucking talking dog. Like, why does one have to be gay? Like, it's a fucking teddy bear.
All right, well, I'm super excited to have both of you guys here. We have Oliver Kult and Brian Payne. Thank you guys for joining us on The Alternative today.
Thank you for having us.
So this weekend was a little hectic, to say the least. We had So What Fest. So let's get into that and kind of what it is, why you guys came for it, and then the little fiasco that occurred this weekend for all of us.
Yeah, I think we almost had the same experience as you, and just didn't even show up for the day two. But Brian got us there. Brian made sure we could get to the fest, you know?
Yeah.
Pedialyte made it work, but basically we showed up to for my book tour, and I had to pick a city coming from Mexico. And So What was happening same day. So I was like, I have a bunch of friends playing.
Yeah.
Let's just go there, meet a bunch of people. My plan was to just show up there, meet a bunch of people, give a bunch of books, you know.
That's exactly how it went, right?
Yeah. Then we showed up first night. First day didn't go to the fest. So, and then just partied. And day two was rough. Day two was rough. And then the rain, this thunder, everything. Festival got shut down for hours. But it was a good time.
It was still fun from what I recall. Brian, how was it for you? And what was your reason for going to the festival?
I think a lot of these festivals are always the same. As soon as you get there, it's tough to get in. It's hard whether you're on a guest list, VIP, it doesn't matter. This one in particularly, it was way humid. We had some issues getting our passes. I had to run back and forth. I've never been more sweaty in my life doing so. I wore a full cowboy boots, sweatsuit pretty much. It was bad.
Not a sweatsuit.
It was bad for me.
Yeah. I don't think we got to see all the bands though. Did y'all get to see everyone until the rain or no?
No, but first off, it literally took us a good hour, if not an hour and a half, to get in. So Brian was on a guest list of one band, Attila, and I was on an artist with the artist pass from Traders to take pictures. But the guys could not get out of the fest to bring it to me. So Brian had to get in from his guest list, find the guys, and then come right back outside. But both of us didn't know how huge the site was.
Yeah.
It looked small from a distance, and then we realized, okay, that's a good walk, you know?
No, it's massive. My friends went to a festival there the weekend before, and they were like, oh, no. It's literally a hike between stages. You're not going to be okay. And sure enough, I wasn't, but it was still fun, though.
Yeah.
Searching for a person I've never met before. I didn't know what he looked like. All I knew he was in a band. So I'm going around to everyone saying, do you know this band? And they're telling me different places. Meanwhile, I'm just trucking everywhere. Just somebody help me find this band.
Dude, I remember
he's just chilling in the shade somewhere, waiting on me.
Dude, I kept texting him. I was like, yo, where are you going? To get that pass? Are you going to fucking another country? Dude, this is taking an hour and a half. Just come back already.
At one point, I had to go to get close as I could to a first aid tent because I thought I was going to croak.
Welcome to Texas, baby. That's that Texas heat.
I was like, I'm gonna pass out.
On a fully sober day, though, you would have been plenty fine, bro. You were just so hangover that the temperature was just killing you. Because this was fine. So it wasn't hot.
I sweated out everything toxic in my body,
and then put it back in.
Hour running.
Yeah, and then first thing he does after he's like, dude, it's such a fucking walk. I'm so thirsty, and then grabs a claw or some shit. I'm like, dude, water, bro. I
want to start with your story and how we got to the festival at hand and your book and everything like that. So let's talk about how you grew up. I feel like that comes into play, obviously, when it comes to writing a parenting book and everything like that. So
I grew up in a super small French town. And from a young age, I just wanted to be in a band. I was like, I need to be in a band. I would look at movies and I'd be like, dude, the tattooed guys are the best guys. So I'd be like, I need to get fully tatted and I need to be in a band. But then I suck at music. I was like, okay, I can play bass, but there's not that many bands looking for a bass player. Usually their guitarist is just gonna fucking play bass. So they're like, we don't need one. So I started tour managing and booking tours, but from the age of 16. With MySpace and Facebook, I would find people's contacts. tracks. And then I started jumping on tours with some American bands in Canada, helped them out. First band I've ever toured with was Lygia from Boston, and it was like their comeback tour. And these guys were like end of their 20s, and I'm like 17, and they're getting fucking wasted every night. And I'm like, so I'm driving basically everywhere because these guys can't drive, can do shit. So I'm just like 17 driving a bunch of grown ass men getting fucking shit faced every day. But I'm like, this is great. Like this is a great experience.
Dream,
for me. Great. Yeah, nothing's changed now. Literally what we did this weekend. But played a few months with a band called Dr. Acula from Long Island, New York. Yeah. I played with them bass. And then I started barbering on tour because playing with metal bands, you make fucking $0. So we had $5 a day to eat and do drugs. So like there's not that much you can do. So like haircuts are just like the last thing on the list. But after like a month or two on tour, you kind of like need to freshen up. So like we all chipped in, bought a Clipper at like a Flying J gas station. And that night we stayed in a fucking trashy Motel 6 and all cut each other's hair. And everybody was like, dude, you're the best one. Like you did the best cuts. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep the Clipper. And from that point on, every tour I would cut hair like in bathroom stalls beside a merch table for like $2 a cut. And mostly a lot of dads were coming to shows and talking about like, I would be like, yo, what do you do? And blah, blah. And then they would talk about their kids. And it always felt like it's such a cool thing to be a dad. And from that point on, I was like 19 on tour, cutting hair. And I realized like, okay, like my next step is to settle down, stop like traveling everywhere and fucking build a family.
But talking about like addiction a little bit, I know you were sober for a little bit, and how did that come about in that kind of like chain of events?
Yeah,
if you're comfortable talking about.
No, yeah, for sure. For me, it was cocaine. Like I was like, I still think to this day it's one of the best thing on earth. This is why I cannot touch it. You know, because it makes you feel like you're on top of the world, but like for a very short period of time, and then you need more to keep that fucking feeling going. So, again, I wasn't someone who was super confident like in my like 18, 19, especially being French Canadian touring with like older guys that had their that were cooler than me all the time. So I always felt like I needed a boost to get that confidence that these guys had. Sure. So I started doing blow on tour, obviously, all the time. And then after that, I started making real money in barbering. I started making like between $1,000 and $2,000 a day, like stupid amounts of money. So I would do stupid amounts of blow. And then it got very terrible. And when I met Victoria, I wasn't sleeping. I was just doing blow all day. Like I was cutting hair, like bump between each client, lines sometimes between each client, spending like $400 or $500 a day. So it was getting stupid. And she was like, it's either like you're done with it or I'm done. So I went to an narcotic like NA meeting. I walked in there and everybody was so trashy, that I was like, I don't want to look like this. You know, like the guy beside me, like this guy, I sat down, he puts his fucking backpack on the floor, opens it up. There's probably 25 little like juice bottles of orange juice, like those juice boxes for kids. And he's just fucking chugging them. Like
Jesus Christ.
Throws it out the whole time. And I'm looking and I'm like, this guy's not feeling good. Like,
by any means.
And I'm like, this can't be me in 2 years. Like, I need to stop now, you know? So honestly, it's not even like what, I couldn't even listen to what people were saying. So there's no inspiring story that changed my mind that day. It's that fucking crackhead. And so I owe it all to him. I was just like, there's no way I'm chugging fucking like orange boxes for the rest of my life. So fuck that. So I stopped right there, cold turkey. I relapsed like maybe once. Yeah. And then she got pregnant like about a month after. So from that point, I was like, I'm done. I can't do any of this anymore. So
how'd you meet your wife?
So my wife was in the porn industry when I met her, and we had a bunch of friends in common. She lived almost all her life in Montreal, but we've never met in Montreal. She says she met me once, but I was not her type. She said she met me when I was like 16 or something, and she was just like, yeah, no, not like this guy. Absolutely not. This guy, I would never like even touch him. So whatever. I guess like fine wine, I got better, but like she would want nothing to do with me. But then later on, fast forward, like when I was 21, 22, we started talking, and she was married at the time with this English guy, and she ended up like just leaving LA to come visit me in Montreal. And we connected right away, and we ended up 4 months later getting married.
Oh, wow.
While she was still married, so she was like double married. So there's like a certain part. Yeah. No, so legally you can't, like on the paper, because we got married in Vegas, right? Yeah. So it was
There's
probably
rules.
There's no rules. There is, but you've never got married in Vegas?
I've never been married at all. No.
Yeah. Okay. So when you get married in Vegas, you go to the courthouse before, like going to get married by fucking Elvis anywhere you want. And when you get to the courthouse past 7 p.m., it's just you and prostitutes. It's just what it is. Like,
Fair enough,
like
Vegas,
that's
yeah.
it. So you get there, and then they just give you a paper. You have to write your name, your where you're from, all your info, and then like, have you been married or whatever, and then you just write no, sign, and you bring that paper to Elvis, and then you're fucking married.
Vegas is crazy.
Crazy.
It's like another world, yeah.
So she wrote no, but there's no background check or nothing. So when we got married, and then after she's like, I kind of need to get divorced now from this guy. So yeah. So then she got divorced from this guy, and we had kids like 2 months later.
I know that you said that's what you always wanted. So
yeah,
is it everything you thought it would be, or more challenging or different?
Oh, it's definitely harder than what I thought, but like, I think everybody, when they have a kid, like, Brian, it's the same with your kid, like it looks like it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be hard, there's hard parts, but you never really understand until you're fucking in it.
And obviously you had the second one, and I know your tactics for parenting aren't the most traditional, people might say. So let's get into that a little bit, and then what brought you to write the book.
Like, the book's called Dad Ass because I was just like, I think this is a status that every dad wants to have. Every cool dad wants to be a badass dad. And nowadays, like, if you watch fucking any kind of cartoons or even shows now, regular shows for adults, the dad is always a fucking loser. Like, they're always dumb. Nowadays, if you watch shows, the dad's always dumb. He doesn't understand the kids, doesn't understand the wife, doesn't understand nothing. And I felt like this sucks. Like, this sucks. And I think guys are not in the mindset of wanting to be like victims in society. So there's no like praise where guys are like we need to be considered. Like, you look at parenting books for guys, it all fucking sucks. It's like it's been written by a woman, and I'm like, like how you want men to be. And I'm like, how about a dad who has kids, who homeschools them? I do different type of parenting. So like, I'm just gonna write a book and see if people can relate to it. And so far, so good.
You live in Tulum right now?
Tulum, Mexico. Yeah. Moved because of the pandemic.
Okay.
And I was like, there's no way I want to live in a place where like my kids have to be masked up, vaccinated, everything. So we just packed our shit and left.
Yeah.
So like, we never enrolled them in the system. We left, and they were like still young, and now they just go to jungle school half the day, and I do homeschooling half the day.
Wait, what is jungle school?
They do everything that a school would do, but outside. So they do like math, but like with fucking rocks and shit. And then they do activities. And if one kid feels like he wants to fucking climb a tree, well, he just goes and climb a tree. It's very like a different approach to education than what we had. Like, in the school system. I kind of love that though. Like, my kids are so much smarter than I ever was at that age. And we went to the school system.
Yeah, but public school is trash.
It's so trash. And everything you learn is just so you can fit the mold. But when kids, you let them learn from their real interests, like, which makes them so much more curious, which makes them so much more smart. Yeah.
Didn't you say one of them like wrestled a jaguar or something like that? I'm like, we need to talk about that.
He's told me many stories.
Yeah.
I live between the beach and the jungles. 20 years ago, it was still tribe people, like naked in trees with bows and arrows. So it's like, it's wild over there. And there's this one guy who has a jaguar mixed with something, but he's chained up like on a huge chain. But I think it's like for protection or whatever. My kid went there once, and my youngest one, he's 4. And he just was kind of playing with him, and then just grabbed the chain, the collar, and just fucking headbutted it.
What?
And then I was like, what? And then obviously the jaguar got super pissed, had this fucking huge bump on his head, and he thought it was hilarious.
Let's talk about how you guys met. When did that happen, and how?
Brian, first day we met in person was at another festival.
We've been friends on social media for so long.
So long, yeah.
And we knew the same people, and it just felt like we already knew each other.
Yeah.
So when we saw each other, it was like, it felt like we've known each other for so long.
It's also because you've been touring too before, and there's like almost no way we didn't cross paths, you know?
At some point.
Well, let's talk about how you grew up. I want to hear your story, which you've told me before, but I feel like the people should hear it as well. It's a good one.
Started tattooing pretty young in high school. I actually left high school and was going about 30 miles to a shop to apprentice. And I had a pretty traditional apprenticeship. It was actually like kind of tough. It wasn't like today where anybody can be a tattooer. But I was like selling drugs. I had no car. I was doing anything I could to pay somebody to get me back and forth before I left school. And then I ended up moving with my grandma tattooing in a small shop in a small town, but I got caught stealing.
At the shop?
Any 15-year-old kid who starts making cash
Yeah.
and I had no bank account. I would take cash, throw it underneath my mattress, and then I'd pull out a 20, and that's how I would eat. That's what I did. I lived off of Sour Patch Kids, pretzel rods, and fucking Red Bull.
Yeah.
But I got caught stealing, and I got fired, and that was really, really bad. And then I went down this like crazy, weird route of tattooing. I ended up in Amish country at one point tattooing, which is like, I don't know if you know anything about Amish country. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, I know,
Like
but
how-
I thought they had no electricity.
It's,
Yeah, how do you
It's just like
tattoo?
a stick and poke.
dude, I
Yeah, stick and
tattooed
poke.
in Amish country for not like very long, maybe like a year or so.
So why though? Like, how'd you end up there? And like, let's get
Well,
into that a
because
little more.
I worked at a pretty fucking cool shop. The owner owned multiple shops. He had a really good reputation. They were all great tattooers. I wanted to be like those guys. I mean, they looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like rock stars. I wanted to be a rock star, but I couldn't play instruments.
Yeah.
Like bass player.
It's like the next
There's
best
just
thing.
two losers and then I'm making it, you know?
But like, what else could I have done? And then
Sure.
I wanted to get tattooed, and it drew my eyes to it. I mean, tattooers always had bands of money, pretty chicks around them, like cool cars. Like the lifestyle was so fucking sick. So I just chased that lifestyle, and then it got away from me at a very young age. Lost my job, my opportunity, and ended up in Amish country trying to make tattoos. Went from there to a couple other places.
Who would you tattoo though?
There was people. It's like a tourist area in Amish country. So like, it wasn't the Amish who got tattooed, but it was a tourist area.
Because I was like, what do you tattoo on
Why'd
them? Like
you-
pieces of bread and butter? Like something?
A little like
Dude,
turning a little bit.
at this point, like, I'm not even sure like I was doing that many tattoos. I think it was just like I was still kind of lost in that.
Was the first shop that you worked at, was that where they had like the hazing that was super crazy? Or was that like
We did some fucked up shit. And Vaseline on my face and having people throw ink caps at it and stick to your face. I remember like punch myself in the face as hard as I could in front of a UFC fighter, and if I didn't like hit myself hard enough, that UFC fighter got to punch me in the face. But those
At
those
15?
dude, I was 16 years old, dude. Turning like I graduated high school. I went back and graduated.
Okay.
I had a girlfriend actually do all my online classing, so I didn't get no GED. I got the damn thing. Like
Yeah.
Wow, the whole diploma.
Yeah, I got the diploma.
You have one?
Yeah. I would say that was awesome.
No. From high school? No.
Yeah, is that weird? And like,
No, I just thought we would both be the kind of guys who don't have a high school
No, I
diploma just by
did.
looking at us.
gee,
Well, actually,
Yeah, but you
to
did
be
it.
fair, I got kicked out of my high school. I did. I had to go to like an alternative high school.
So you bought
since-
it. You bought your way
No,
in.
you don't have to pay. Like, I got physically kicked out. They're like,
Yeah.
you have to graduate, like, go to this other school. Like, you had to go through, like, a metal detector to get in. It was, like, gang members and, like, pregnant women. Like, it was,
Sick.
yeah, within me. Yeah, so it's, like, a diploma,
Yeah.
but not from, like, an accredited high school, but it still, like, works. You
So
know?
Brian's the only one who has like a legit real
Yeah.
from
dude,
a normal
what does
high
that
school.
even mean though? Because I've never in my life had to use it. Like I never picked it up.
Yeah.
Is it still there? I call my high school and ask if they still have my diploma.
Pretty sure.
I actually never got it. Life went to fucking shit. I worked in a factory for one night because I thought, dude, tattooing's done. This guy was so big in the tattoo industry, especially in this local area, that he could control where I went. He's like, nope, he's a bad guy. That no one would hire.
How much you steal? Fuck.
Like $60.
Dude, this guy's
insane.
a dick though. Like a 16-year-old steals
Like,
like 60 bucks.
Just ruin his life.
Like,
Like,
So
Yeah.
I'll tell you how I stole. When tattooing in a percent, you would write down what you charge for the tattoo,
Yeah.
the tax on it, and the total.
You tax on tattoos in Ohio?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Let's not go in the taxes right now.
how the Amish do
But what I did was I figured out if no one was in the shop, I'd write the tattoo down for a smaller amount, and then I would profit more money. So if I did a $200 tattoo, I'd write it up as a $50 tattoo. He would get his percent, I get the percent of that 50, but also the other 100, 150 bucks I stole.
Okay, okay, but that's not 60 bucks though.
I'm
So
talking
60
about
He's
when
like,
I
it's
got
just
caught.
$60.
So
I
it
got
turned out to like
caught.
60,000 in like a
That
year.
was $60. That was tough, dude. I like lost everything. Like I instantly had to like move. I had no money. I was young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I tried to tattoo in other places, and it wasn't cutting it. I still don't think I never had a license, dude, until I was like 20 fucking one. Couldn't drive legally. I didn't have money to buy a fucking vehicle. So I was
Yeah.
always catching rides, always selling drugs, always doing whatever the fuck hustle I could to get to these places.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward, the factory job, I was like, I gotta do something. I went and worked one day, came home, sat down, cried. I bawled my eyes out, bro.
What factory? What were you doing there?
It was called Fanatics. It was not for me. I worked with a guy who couldn't read. So when I realized the guy had the same job I had, but he can't read.
I have my high school diploma, bitch. Like, I'm way better than you.
I was like, this is not fucking happening.
I didn't go to high school for
I
this.
sat and I cried, dude. And the girl I was with at the time was like, why don't you call back the old shop owner? And I was like, he's never going to talk to me again. I called him. This is a few years after, you know, I mean, I was probably 20 years old. I called him, and it must have been timing or whatever people believe in, but he gave me another chance. So I came back, and dude, from that moment on, it's been great.
So how'd you go to the next level? You said you started like meeting people.
I think what really took me the next level was this one party. This was the Fashion House party in Nashville. The infamous Fashion House.
This was like on the news, like
after the notorious Fashion House party in Nashville earlier this month. Christopher Eubank and Jeffrey Matthews are the owners of that property. They now face charges of violating health orders. Thousands packed that property, and videos showed guests were not wearing masks at the event. Both men are out of state right now, and police told them to surrender upon their return to Nashville.
So I just went to jail. Drinking and driving. Drinking and driving in my town is like, we don't have Ubers. So you're constantly drinking and driving. If you do anything like anywhere and you have a drink, you're drinking and driving. They get you, if you're out past 9 o'clock, you get pulled over. I got a few of those. So I went to jail, and I had to stay sober and do this probation bullshit and everything, AA meetings and all this shit. And the 90th day, I got a phone call from somebody that I went on tour with. And it was a photographer, and she said, hey, there's this big party in Nashville. We need a tattooer. Can you come? I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't even have a fucking license right now.
And this was like during COVID too as well,
yeah,
right?
and this is during COVID, which is crazy. So every day was like the same routine. I'd go out on my porch, do AA at the same time every day, smoke cigarettes, and then go to sleep and whatever, that was it. I found a way to rent a car with no license. I can't go into detail about that rental.
But it happened.
But it happened. And I fucking took all my tattoo stuff, and I've never went to Nashville in my life. I didn't know anybody there except this one girl. And I went there, and as soon as I got there, there's people on their knees fucking chugging, what do you call those? They're really super girly drinking bottles, and everyone like hands it to you and you have to chug it.
Like a sourpuss? Sourpuss?
I don't know what the sourpuss is.
You know what a sourpuss is?
Oh, like I was about to say.
They trick you, and like if they hand it to you or something, and you're like, oh shit, I have to chug
getting
this.
like iced.
Iced.
Like yeah.
I'll get those
Like,
tiny
yes.
bottles.
And I just see people everywhere. There's people like in bikinis, and everyone's tattooed, and whatever, and there's people dropping to their knees chugging these drinks. And I'm like carrying my case of tattoos. I'm like, so
Hi,
y'all, this
guys.
beautiful fucking house, dude. It's fucking sick. I'm like, no one knows me, but everyone's kind of like, what's up, you know? So, upon my arrival, I start meeting everybody. I realize what this actually is. This guy who did the Fashion House wanted to network everybody, bring everybody together. Everybody, whether porn stars, models, photographers, musicians, tattooers, everybody. Put them in one fucking place. Have a big ass party, and then have the general public come too, as well.
Did they have to like pay to get in or no?
I can't quite remember, but I believe they did. But no, actually, I don't remember them taking money. I think it was just like a line, and we just let people
Just
come
have
in.
it, yeah.
He worked his fingers to the bone doing this setup. Like I watched people get so stressed doing this huge party during a pandemic, when you weren't even like allowed to be around.
Sure.
Anybody.
Yeah.
We're there the first day, and it's really just the people who are the content creators or what everyone I talked about. You're hanging out, you're making relationships, and that's all great. The party happens, dude, and it is fucking insane. Like it's the craziest thing I've ever been a part of in my fucking life.
Kind of like Project X, like the movie.
Dude, I think it was bigger. The fucking president talked about it.
How many people like at the maximum do you think there were?
Dude, I can't tell you how many people, but I know I was upstairs tattooing, and I'm tattooing one of my homies. He's getting his dick sucked. There's shots going on. There's 4 people behind me. There's a whole party downstairs that's not the VIP.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's people watching him getting his dick sucked through the fucking big windows. It's fucking insane. As bad as this was on the backlash we got, there was a lot of backlash. It was very positive for me because everybody I met there plays a huge role in my life right now. And like I wouldn't have had any of the opportunities that I do now or the people I know if I wouldn't have went to that fucking party. Which is crazy because it was like a party. But Shai did exactly what he fucking needed to do. Like the guy who put in that party, he wanted us to do that. And that's what he did. He paved the way for us all to fucking be tight and homies and help each other. You know, half the bands I go and tattoo with who introduced me to more bands, I met them there. It's so
The cops never showed up?
The cops did show up. There's way more about the party we can go into. I was trying to give you the positive end of this too. Besides,
I mean, I would love to get into like all the craziness that you told me too. There was a lot.
You should have seen the messages we got, the hate, the people, because we did it during a pandemic.
People were crazy during that
some
time.
people were fucking freaks.
Dude, people were calling my tattoo shop back home and like saying fucked up stuff. Like I was worried I was gonna lose my job. Like it was pretty gnarly. Mind you, I was like on probation.
Yeah.
I was in a different state, and like people in a news article about this shit.
Oh no.
But Shy gets arrested. I think he only did like a day in jail, not even that, probably a couple hours. But he comes out and his statement from that was just like, I can't apologize for being legendary.
Icon, yeah.
It was the most amazing thing in the fucking world.
That's iconic, yeah. It's crazy. How long did this go on? Like the party in its entirety? Like
everybody got hate. A lot of people had to like delete their social medias, lay low. I think a few people may have flew out of the country.
What?
No way.
I'm not 100% sure. But
who are some of like the most prevalent people in your life right now that you met at that party?
The guitar player for Attila, Chris. I met him and his girlfriend there. We all got matching tattoos. When I went back home, I got a random FaceTime from them. I was in the middle of a tattoo, and I was hyped because people I just met in Nashville, like I came back home like a rock star, dude. Like they say, hey, my sister's single. You need to like meet her. And I'm on FaceTime, and she fucking hated me. Same story you kind of said. She did not like me. I think she only likes me because I tattooed my dick. I think that was
Tattoo your dick on that FaceTime? Like, just like, yo, no, but I'm cool. Look at this. I'm cool.
What I'm getting at is I actually met the mother of my child from the people I met at that party.
Yeah.
So that's the greatest gift I can ask for. Because at that party, if I didn't went there, dude, I don't think I would have met her or had my child.
Because it was during the pandemic that makes this so fucking epic, you know? Because I remember even in the pandemic in Canada, bro, my fucking neighbor in front of my house was so like following our regulations like crazy that I saw her one time, like they had like a fucking lunch party for like their daughter's birthday or whatever, and they had people over, but everybody was in their cars and like 6 feet apart in their cars with masks on. This was my whole entertainment that day. I just sat in my window and looked at this and I was like, I can't believe people are this stupid. I'm like, what's going on?
Did you guys get vaccinated?
No.
Absolutely
I didn't.
not.
Me neither.
Like, no.
And dude, I'm getting in trouble for this now. So like I hired a lawyer because I'm going to Canada in like 2 weeks, and I hired a lawyer and I was like, can you look into the system if I have like a warrant from IRS or some shit?
For not getting vaccinated?
Yeah, bro. Because the thing is, I bought a vaccine passport, right? During COVID, I traveled around the world, bro, and I fucking scanned that everywhere. That's fucking you're not allowed to
So
do
it's
that.
like it was like a fake little
passport, like in the one I had was like a QR code, but I also had like a paper version of it.
Yeah.
And then I would show it at the border. Any country I would go to that said I had 2 doses, but
Yeah.
never had anything.
Not at the same, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so
Tulum.
that's it. And this one time we got back home, and then they were asking to test us at the airport.
Yeah.
And I said, you're not putting nothing in my fucking nose. Like,
Yeah.
like no. So they were like, okay, well then you have to get quarantined in a hotel. And I was like, I am not doing this. And then they were like, well, the officers are gonna bring you. And I was like, bring them on.
Yeah.
And as the officers came, I just fucking ran out the door and left back
As
and
you
went
should.
home. So then we got fined. They sent us fines. Like they figured out we had a fake passport during that time. They fined me $6,000 for this, and then another $5,000 for refusing to get tested at the airport. That's $11,000
That's insane.
times 4. I have 2 kids and a wife, so it's like $40-something thousand. And I was like, if there's
Me
one thing
too.
I'll die for, I will never give Health Canada $40,000.
Now, aren't they coming out saying like people are having all these terrible effects from the vaccine and stuff like that?
So my mom is, in my opinion, she has Alzheimer's. That's what I think. And I'm sure it's triggered by the vaccine.
Yeah.
Because she was doing plenty fine. And then she got fucking 2 or 3 or 4 jabs, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And then her brain started fucking not working anymore. She got super
Yeah.
depressed. She's like, she forgets everything. And now, like, my brother filmed her last time. She was like dancing with no music, no headphones in the kitchen for like hours.
Damn.
Like, I mean,
Well,
yeah, if
listen.
you're vibing by yourself, okay, but like, if you're like lost and just like dancing, bro, she was running in circles in
You
the
like
kitchen.
don't know where you're at.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've danced alone in the kitchen.
Yeah, but dude, your
Did you
brain
get
is
the
pretty
vaccine?
fried too, you know? I mean, you know?
Voluntarily, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Cannot even launch a brand of fucking energy drinks without going through a bunch of FDA fucking approbation, and it takes fucking years. Do a random vaccine by fucking 5 different companies and be like, like Canada got to 8. Like I mean, like, Canada got to 8. Like not like you didn't have to get 8, but like people got 8.
Fuck, like what kind of person do you have to be? Like what's like the prototype of this person who's like, you know what, let me go to Walgreens and get my 8th vaccine? Like who is this? Like
same guys who like fucking getting caught, like something. Like I guess it's the same.
He's like, let me do that and then go get my 8th vaccine.
So every time you go on Pornhub and you write like cuckold, I feel like all the guys filming all have 8 jabs.
They give you a coupon, like once you like partake in that, they're like, okay, now go. Like, we know what you want to do next.
That's it. So I believe. About partying, I speak about fucking. There's like the 2 first chapters. I'm basically just talking about doing drugs, and then after that my exes, and then like sex, drugs, rock and roll for like 2 3 chapters, and then I'm like, I still tell dads like you can be like, even if you were a dirt bag or you did like dumb shit, like you can still be a fucking role model. When we met in Dallas, now he was like telling me about a fucking stupid little thing that happened with his kid, and he's like, I felt like such a bad dad, and I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you're not. Like, dude, this shit happens every day. You can't control that. It's just your way you learn from it that makes you a badass dad.
I look up to my dad so much for that. Like, he was like a DJ. When something happens to me, I can learn from them. And he's
perfect and like making me feel bad about the shit that happens,
Yeah, it's cool that your dad's like this, but like my parents are not. And I feel a lot of people who are parents, so like in the 60s, right? They're in their 60s right now. Like they're a generation that doesn't speak really. So they don't open up to their kids that much. I have a whole chapter also in my book where I talk a lot about my dad and the fact that I know nothing about my dad. If you're going to have kids, you're like, do I want to pass this fucking shit along or do I want to break this?
Yeah.
And it's hard to break it because there's comfort in patterns. There's comfort in like, oh, this is how I grew up, so this is how I am. But it doesn't have to be. You can be like, I don't want for my kids to have this flaw that I have. So I need to break that fucking pattern. And you're the one suffering from breaking that pattern. Like, you can't go to your parents and be like, you fucking fucked me up. Because, this leads nowhere. So you have to be like, I have to fucking accept that, like, I have this shitty pattern. I'm breaking it. And then, my kid's going to be better off.
With social media, too, kids grow up a lot faster now, I feel. Like,
my kids don't have access to none of this shit.
Oh, really?
We don't watch TV. So we have a physical TV, but it's not on.
What brought you to that decision to kind of like not go that route with them?
Yeah, have you ever seen like TikTok, like kids on TikTok? Like that's just enough to be like, I don't want my kids to have a fucking phone,
I don't blame you.
Like, bro, it's disgusting, and I'm like, it's not even the kids' fault. Their fucking brains are like so fresh. Like they don't know that what they're doing is bad, but it's like, the second you see kids eating Tide Pods and dancing half naked, you're like, this is not, I don't want my kids to be like this. No. Like we all saw fucking 2 girls, 1 cup at like way too young.
Yeah.
And then, and back in the days, like how many videos of fucking people getting beheaded did you watch? Like this was all over the fucking place. And our parents didn't know nothing, but like we know.
It was a crazy place.
That's
like,
it.
There's a lot going on,
A lot going on, and our parents didn't know, so they had no control over it. But like now that we know this stuff and we know the internet's getting like also is wild in a different way now, like Instagram is, there's fucking girls like naked on Instagram constantly.
Like anything, cartoons and like kids shows. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
How they put in like weird subliminals and stuff?
Yes, constantly. All the new ones. And it's like, I don't, like people can do whatever the fuck they want in their life, but don't touch kids. That's my thing. Let kids be kids. And I just don't agree that a show that is supposed to be catered for like fucking 3 or 4 years old to have anything related to gender or sex or whatever. Like, it's like, it's a fucking teddy bear and a fucking talking dog. Like, why?
Like, we're like innuendos and stuff.
Why does one have to be gay? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. He's not. It's a fucking teddy bear. There's nothing they cannot gain nothing from watching TV.
Yeah.
There's nothing like when we were kids. I feel like cartoons were just fun.
How do you take like for my instance, like how do I take like, hey, you can't have TikTok, but every single kid in your class does.
Yeah, that's a hard thing.
So that's like it's tough. It's tough. Parenting is tough.
One kids can be so mean too. Like if you're like different than them or like you know
bullying
what I mean. So it's like
bad, dude.
So
bullying
bad.
is a whole next level, and I never experienced bullying. I didn't even know bullying was real. I thought it was just something you saw on TV, and later on, like you just kind of mean.
You didn't see it like in your school at all?
No. But I see it non.
You didn't see other kids getting bullied?
No, dude.
It was bad in my school.
And it's crazy to me. Like I cannot believe some of this stuff happens.
Like
it
what
makes me want
happens?
to beat up parents. You know what I mean? Like,
do it.
There's like
honestly,
just
why
do
not?
it.
Yeah, at that
the
point.
soccer field and have to fucking. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that.
I think it'd be hard
Yeah.
not to.
I
Yeah.
just thought like it's not the kid's fault. So you don't know what they're dealing with at
Sure.
home. When a kid's mean to my stepson, and I'm like, I'm gonna rip your head off. and this kid talks shit to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to your dad, and I see this dad is actually a fucking piece of shit and treats his kid like shit, and his kid is like, projecting. Who am I mad at? Like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
You know?
But the dad, bro, you beat up the dad.
You're like, it's so clear.
First off, you give him my book, you sell him my book, and you do so well, and then you're like, if you're still a piece of shit after this, you're gonna beat up. But I have a question for you, bro, because we never spoke about this, and I feel like it's like so important also on the podcast. It's fucking great because my wife wasn't porn, but like, you know, like mainstream porn. My wife did like Brazzers and all these stuff, so it's like it's not complicated to find her getting fucked online. And everybody's been telling me like, what are you gonna do when your kids find out? You have a 12-year-old.
Yes.
Your girl does OnlyFans. They all have phones.
Yeah.
So he knows.
So he has to.
No, but you don't know?
No, I don't go through his phones. I had somebody approach me in the Tractor Supply. I was buying dog food, and a lady approached me and said like, "Hey, I grounded my daughter the other day, and I just want to let you know, like, I'm not mad, but I went through her phone, and on her search history was you and your girl." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, like on her social medias."
When anybody gets on your girl's social media, there's links, and it's what it is.
So yeah, it's there, but it was just like a weird thing. That's the first time I experienced like that actually hit me. I was like, shit. Like,
so you think he knows?
You'd have to. Aside from being a father, there is the mother. I don't know how to really word it, but she's being in sex work. She's made it known and made it like acceptable, and a lot of people don't think it's acceptable, but she's made it like known that like it's not a bad thing. You're not a terrible person. You're not a fucking whore. I do wonder what people think, or what the other kids or whatever it may be. And I have family members and friends and the community who think that we're just the most terrible people in the world.
That's crazy. What an outdated mentality. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, dude, it's bad.
It was like that when I met my wife. Like, when I met her, she was still in the porn industry, and I told my parents, oh, like, this is the girl I'm dating, and they were not okay with it. I don't think it was them. I think it was more the judgment that others would have on them. And they were like, you gotta start doing porn. And I was like, I don't need to go do porn. And it was way before OF. So like she was doing like production. So I know guys were getting paid like $500. I'm like, dude, I make that in like a fucking morning cutting hair. Like I don't need this. I had to go to be like, if you guys accept that I'm dating her, or like I'm not talking to you guys anymore.
Yeah. Once they met her, did they feel differently? Or
yes.
no? Okay.
Yes, they did. But I think there was a lot of judgment all the way until she got pregnant. She stopped when she got pregnant, obviously. And she met me. She kept doing it a little bit. And that's one of the things she was like, oh, it made me realize how much like you love me. Because like I would come back from set and you're still like, kiss me and blah, blah. And I was like, I didn't think of that.
Until right now.
It's only like, you know, but the time she told me that, she's like, I still remember that day. Like I went to set and then I came back and I didn't even have time to jump in the shower and you started kissing me. And I was like, did I do that? Like, maybe I didn't know.
Yeah.
But like, whatever. I think when she got pregnant, my parents started like, and now they love her.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because she's a good mom? Like, aside from like watching her become a mother, and
I think so.
Because that's what they were hesitant at first about things, and then they see all the good, and that's all that mattered.
I never shot porn with her. That I did, but that's online, nothing. And like, her mom still didn't like me when she met me because she liked the previous husband. Oh. She liked him way better.
Like, what was it about him that...
He was British. She just liked the fucking accent. She just loved the accent. Yeah, so she was just like, I love his accent. And
what a reason.
He was like, you know, like ripped.
I get it.
It was like ripped and shit. So like she was into that. And I was like, okay. So like she had this thing like that she didn't like me from the start. But then we had kids and she saw how kids are my priority. Like I'm always with them. Like they're daddy's boys. They always want to be with me. So like she started liking me more as time went by. But I still think that like if right now my wife would be like, oh, I'm going back with this guy, I think she'd be like, oh yeah, good. Good. Yeah.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. No, like 9 years later, like okay.
I don't, but that's not the time, dude. In 5 years, 10 years, no one's gonna give a fuck anyways. That's how I see it. Like no, any of the people who project how they feel about the decisions you make, even being a parent, the way you work, how you make money, it doesn't fucking matter. I believe it's what your kids will think, and that's why I was like, did you have a conversation? Because like as the men in the house, I feel like at some point I would obviously have to have that conversation because I was like, oh no, they're in the jungle, they don't have phones, they don't have nothing, like they're not gonna know about it. But I'm like, I don't know, like you said, the other kids. I don't know if the other kids when they get home they have access to shit. That generation of children today, besides mine, are fucking pussies. They're soft as fuck.
Yeah, that's
100%.
very true.
It's like, so what's scary is like, let's say, a kid finds gets a video, access to a video of your mother's titties, whatever, just say your mom's titties.
Yeah.
You take that. Does he like, dude, who gives a fuck? Like, or is it like, oh my God, somebody saw my mom's titties, and like, does that cause a depression? Does that like?
That's it. Because you could see a change in character in your kid, and that's my fear, that like, let's say my kid doesn't open up to me about it, because you don't know if he like. It's like, what if my kid sees his mom online, like on Pornhub or whatever, someone like sends him a screenshot, and he's like 10, and then he's like ashamed or whatever and doesn't tell us, and then everything changes in his life, and then we're like, we don't understand why, and we're like, dude, like, why are you so distant? Why are you this and that? And then you realize fucking like 6 years later, like the trauma, like I hope that I'm going to build a relationship with my kids that is so good that they're going to want to talk about these things. Because I know that, like, I think it's a talk that I want to have with my kids.
I haven't had it. I think it's coming that time. Conversation is actually great for me.
No, because a woman's perspective on sex work and a man's perspective on sex work is also different.
Yes.
You know, and like probably the way you fuck Carly on video right now isn't the way that it always is. You know, there's a loving relationship, but that's not usually what you show in porn. You know, so like you have to be like, this is not really how you treat women. Let's be real. Like, okay, like sex can be wild and everything, but there's other things in a relationship than just fucking. Yes. But like if kids, they don't have relationships and all they see is like sex and sex and sex and sex, like after that, they have a different image of women, and you don't want that for your kids. Especially when you have boys, you have two boys, I have two boys. It's like, it's a fucking job to make sure they're not players.
I feel like it'll be so common though. In like 10 years, like everyone has an OnlyFans now, you know, like so many girls do. Like, I feel like kids will just, all their parents will have them. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but don't you think it's fucked? Don't you think it's fucked up that like it's so common? Like, where is it gonna go? I'm totally fine with the platform. I don't give a shit about the platform. I'm just saying, if it becomes socially acceptable for kids to be aware of these things so young, that's where I have a problem.
Yeah.
There's like a new law, I think, that passed. I think here in Texas, I think you don't have access to Pornhub anymore.
Oh yeah, Brazzers and Pornhub. That's true.
Yeah, I think they blocked it. And
forgot about that.
And I'm like,
I never forgot.
I think it's only closed because you don't have like to regulate like the age consent.
Yeah, they want to prove that I guess like everyone on there is of age, like in the videos, and then also everyone accessing it. Because all you have to do is like click like, oh, are you over 18? And like anyone can do that, you know?
Yeah,
like,
okay,
you're able to just click, but now it's like,
yes,
no,
that's
it's like
it.
completely blocked.
I'm not saying like necessarily 18 there, but I'm saying like a 7-year-old and 8-year-old shouldn't be able to fucking get on that. And it's like, it's so easy. It's not like if they have to actually know the website, bro. You go and you stream a hockey game and the fucking ads on top like of the streaming website is just straight up porn all the time. So it's like, it's one click away.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's a little bit too loose. And that's me being a fucking like 32-year-old dad now. But like, I still think that people can do whatever the fuck they want, but protect the kids at all costs.
Yeah.
What did I watch recently? Like boxing, but I think it was like women's boxing. And the whole ring was like blue with the OF logo, and it's like sponsored by OnlyFans. And I'm like, my kid doesn't notice that now, but what if like he's like in 6 months or a year, he's like, what's OnlyFans?
My friend just went to F1 with like the OnlyFans team. I guess they have like a car in F1 now, and they're gonna try to branch out into like all these other like.
But see, I am so conflicted on this because I'm like, my wife did sex work. She did great fucking money with this. I've been in business all my life, so like I understand that side, and I want businesses to make money. But I'm also like, damn, isn't it too mainstream?
Yeah.
Like it's too much in our faces. You don't want kids to smoke, so we don't show people smoking, like even in TV shows anymore. But like you can fucking put OF everywhere.
You were on a reality show, yeah?
I had my own reality show,
What
yes.
was that about? Like
That was weird because it's like I was barbering and making a bunch of money and everything, and I had this one client who worked for a production company, and he was like, the production company wants to throw a show for TV about young male entrepreneurs who are doing good and blah, blah, blah. So he wanted me to host this as like a tattooed young guy making money having barbershops. And I would basically receive guests in my chair and just cut and talk. And in the pilot, it starts with me at home with my newborn baby, my hot ass wife, and I'm like kissing them goodbye, blah, blah, blah. And then I leave and I do my shit. So we filmed that. He pitched it to a TV channel. He said, yeah, the stuff in the barbershop I don't give a shit about. I want this guy, his wife with the giant tits, and the baby. My wife back then was just like out of porn. So like they were like, we're going to use the fact that she was in porn like before. And we're going to use the fact that this guy was doing a bunch of drugs before. And now that they have a baby and this young new tattooed couple. We're like, let's do like Meet the Barkers, but with Quebec French people.
I would watch that, honestly.
Yeah, so like that's what we did. So we did one season of that where they put us in a bunch of situations.
What were some of those situations they put you in, and was there anything like you might not want your kids to watch later that you regret?
I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it because it's like some of it. I'm like, dude, like I'm a boring guy most days. I own businesses and stuff, and I wasn't doing drugs anymore, and Martha wasn't shooting porn anymore. So when they realized that our daily lives are pretty boring, they were like, we got to get these people drunk. So like they were getting us drunk daily, like on champagne. They would buy bottles and bottles of champagne. And then they would take us aside during filming and then say some shit to my wife. Say like, hey, you know, Oliver did that or said that.
Oh, no.
That's not true. And then they would come to me and say other things. And then, boom, when we're drunk, put us in a situation. And then we would fight.
It's so messy.
Constantly.
I feel like that's what they do on reality TV, like Rock of Love, like those old shows. Like they would always just get them like so fucked up.
So fucked up. And, and then that's what they do. They just talk shit behind the scenes. And then when cameras turn on, everybody's pissed off. And then there's drama automatically. They sent us to like a music festival. And then like they got my wife so worked up about a bunch of shit. And then they had me, they're like, oh, just wait for her here. We're going to bring her and you guys can discuss. And discuss what? And then they left. So I'm there like nervous. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then she comes in, runs to me and spits in my face. And then they're like, I have it.
No.
And then I'm like, what the fuck was that? She's like, she said you said that. I'm like, no, that's not true.
Oh, no.
And then we realized at that point, like, okay, shit is like not real. But then, yeah, they kept doing it. Then we kept saying stupid stuff. You know, like every reality TV show, like you sit on the couch or whatever.
A
and
little
there's
like confessional thing.
Yeah. When you comment what's been happening. And they would always try to get us super fucked up before that. And then when we got to that, they would try to make us say things that can either go viral or something, you know, so basically ruin us because they were like, you know, but I was like, I own a business, dude. I can't talk shit. Now I don't give a shit. Now I talk shit. I say whatever I want. I really don't care. But say it was kind of stressful. And we did like, it was about probably 3 months of filming.
Are you going to talk to your kids about that and kind of see? Because like their friends are probably going to find that too, right?
I think my oldest one knows because there's pictures of us in the house that have been taken by the crew that are nice pictures. So and there's cameras and stuff, and there's even like a cute picture of him like on one of the sets. He was holding the camera, so like he knows that there was a TV show. But I think he can watch it. I don't think there's anything like obscene in there. But again, if he watches it and doesn't know that my wife did sex work, then he'll know.
Sure.
So I think there has to be conversations
like
before he watches that show. Yeah, even for the drugs and everything. You know, we talk a lot in the show about like me doing blow before. I'm like, he can't be fucking 8 and watch this.
Right.
You know, so later on.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it's findable online. I'm pretty sure it is, but.
So what's next? You wrote the book, obviously. You said you want to write some more.
I decided to reject an offer from a publisher for that book because I was just like, I've always been doing everything DIY. So for me, this needs to be my push in this industry, like what makes me an author that people know. So I'm trying to get in the right hands. So I'm going on tour, putting it in the right people's hands. And I plan on my next book to be something that goes like wild, you know? So like people are going to be after that ass, people are going to be like, this guy's an author. He's a cool dad. He knows his shit. And then I'm going to have a crowd that follows my work, likes the way I write.
You know what you want the second one to be about?
So I spoke off camera about it. I can't go into details just because I don't know how much this guy wants me to talk about this. So it's going to be a book on someone very interesting, his life. I'm going to be the one writing it. So in my style, so super humoristic, the way I write, but about his crazy life. That is 100 times, if not 1,000 times crazier than my life, your life, and all our lives combined.
Very unconventional, yeah.
Yeah, related to tattoo piercing world. In that alternative world, I think this book's going to be like a fucking record breaker.
Yeah.
For me, it's the equivalent of working with someone like Kid Von D. Like if she would release a book. So, but in that scene. So I'm super excited about it. But yeah, I think I'm going to be probably able to talk about it a bit in a few months.
Ryan, what's next for you?
I would like to take a leap forward outside of tattooing. So it's not just tattooing. Tattooing, there's no retirement.
We know so many people.
Yeah.
And you know so many people in the music industry, tattoo industry, there has to be something we can do.
Yeah.
You have any like ideas or like an ideal venture that you
we
think
spoke
would
a
be
lot
the
about
best fit?
management, you know, like I feel like Brian's a fucking PR master and I'm a business guy on the side, but I do a lot of branding so I can help a lot of like influencers or artists as I think we can kill it in that.
Make a lot doing that too.
Yeah.
for sure.
And there's a lot of people who need it. Like how many times do you fucking meet an artist like either musically or in the like adult industry or whatever that is it's wasted because they don't know what to do. Because it's hard world out there. Like there's so much competition with social media and everything. You have to stand out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people need help.
pretty much sums it up.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. It was
you
great
for
having
having
you.
us. Thank
Any
you.
final thoughts to leave the people with?
Amazon.com,
Amazon.
badass, Oliver Cult, and just grab a book. But honestly, yeah, that's it. I think it's just a fucking episode where people can be. There's alternative guys out there doing shit and trying stuff. I think that's what we're doing right now, doing shit and trying stuff
We love that.
and trying to be like the best at everything.
Thank y'all again, and that's it. We're
Thank
out there.
you.
Hell yeah.